Takes a bit.
I'm getting the signal that we can start now. The start is always awkward with the MakerCast, but hello everyone. We're sitting here in the Xhein Hack and Make space, not Makerspace. And with me today is Timon. Say hi, Timon.
Hi.
Hello, Timon.
Coming over from Frankfurt, which is 500 kilometers away from here.
Just for this.
Just for this, of course. No other reasons to be in Berlin. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. We have a super elaborate setup here, which is gotta be the most professional MakerCast yet. With like half of a communication congress setup here. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
It feels
looking
weird.
pretty good.
We have the lights here. And also, we're not alone today sitting here in the Xhein. There are other people, the AV people. They don't exist for the camera right now. But also live connected from... Why is this not showing? Okay. Anyways, I want to... I'm confused. I'm looking at the YouTube stream. But with us today also is Deshipu out of Zurich. And maybe you say something shortly about yourself.
So I'm a hobbyist maker, basically. Interested mostly in CircuitPython, MicroPython things, a bit of robots, a bit of game consoles. That's it.
Nice to have you here. And also, for the very first time on the MakerCast, we have Robin Reiter with us.
Yeah.
Why don't
Hello.
you introduce a bit yourself?
Sure. I do all sorts of things, starting from electronics, web development. I don't know. I did everything so far, but I kind of settled on, doing electronics and 3D printing and just building stuff with those tools. And not a professional, just a hobbyist with a little workshop.
Awesome.
That's basically it.
Did we introduce ourselves except for the names?
No, we didn't. But
Maybe we should say what we do.
I'm hosting. Anyways, what am I doing? I like to tinker with electronics a bit, trying to keep it on the artsy side sometimes, and also 3D print things that I don't know, think would be cool to 3D print. Yeah. And you?
I'm focusing lately on PCB design, product design really, some stuff that I made. I also make all sorts of stuff, 3D printing, milling things, but yeah, like this whole year I've been very focused on starting my maker business and bringing a product to market actually. Yeah, that's me.
Sounds nice. Are you doing that?
I don't see the stream yet. Have you muted Robin right now, or is it auto mute? Okay.
Is the audio quality, like for the viewers, are we all sounding great, or?
I think there's a noise coming from our side, and they have fixed it now. It's Robin. Okay. We're still figuring it out. We were setting up this whole thing, so maybe just a quick word on that. It's the very first time that we are testing the video setup for the Xhein as well. So it's all experimental, and we're kind of playing and testing out the equipment. So if you hear anything, we will definitely just blame Robin for it onwards.
Yeah, why not?
If you're interested in some behind the scenes of this crazy setup here, if you go on Twitter at timonsku, I've posted some behind the scenes stuff on this camera setup and audio setup here. All right. Who wants to start?
Yeah, I think we only have 2 guests, and before we do the tour at Xhein that we have planned, I think it would make sense that Deshipu maybe starts so that Robin will get an idea of what the MakerCast is all about.
Okay, thank you. So I decided that since this month I didn't really, last month, really, I didn't really do much new stuff. I did port my games to this console, which is not mine. It's like Kit and Bot. and it's STM32 with microbit compatible connector, and now it runs my games in CircuitPython. Yeah, so that's the only thing I did last month. So I decided to dig out some of my projects that I never finished. And, I have a bit of a graveyard of robots in here. The first one. This is a prototype. There was a time when I really experimented with walking robots, with four-legged spider robots mostly. And the toad robot that Dave actually knows because he built one as well was an effect of that. But at some point when I had the board with the servo connectors, I said, okay, let's try making a dog-like robot. So yeah, this is just pieces of wood and hot glue and stuff like that. But I just wanted to see if I can make it work. And it does actually work pretty well. I think I can put it on. Yeah, so one of the servos is broken now. So that's why it's turning around. But it does work pretty well. So that encouraged me to follow this route and try to make more robots like this. So I got into laser cutting for the first time because I won a coupon from Hackaday. And I got this thingy cut out, which is just My Little Pony outline, basically. And then I decided, okay, why not put some servos on it and make it work the same way? So I have this, this is a Adafruit Trinket M0, and those are really tiny servos from models. Basically, I never got it to work. I never programmed it to work. So this is something that's still in my drawer. I need at some point to finish it. But I made one more four-legged robot based on the same thing. This time 12 servos, because there are additional servos at the ends that are continuous rotation servos, so it can also drive around. So I don't know if you know the Ghost in the Shell series of movies and manga. They have smart tanks in there that are called differently depending on the series. But Fuchikoma, Tachikoma. This one is Logikoma from Ghost in the Shell Arise. They are like the first version of them, the earliest ones. So they have this very heavily armored legs. And that also was made with that coupon from Hackaday for laser cutting. So this was my first experience with that. The dome is actually from a supermarket, from those baubles you can get. And yeah, there are some parts missing because it's already falling apart because it's been in the drawer for so long. And yeah, an ESP32, a servo driver, and I never programmed it as well. So it's waiting to be programmed one day, and then it can actually walk like the same way this four-legged robot, this dog robot did, and it can also drive on the wheels. And by tilting, it can turn, because when you tilt the legs, the wheels actually turn a little bit. So you can steer it this way. Yeah.
Cool.
And finally, one day I decided I really need to figure out how to program a Delta robot. The interesting part for me in here was the inverse kinematics, because turns out they are quite complicated from a geometry point of view. So the challenge was to figure it on my own, not to find a ready solution on the web, but just doing, trigonometry to try and figure out on my own how the idea for a delta robot. For those of you who don't know, there are some screws falling out from it. Don't know is that you have 3 servos, and each of them just moves up and down, and that because the push rods here are parallel to each other, they keep the platform in the middle also always horizontal. So you can move this by moving the servos appropriately. You can move this platform in 3D space to any point that it can reach. You just have to calculate the angles for the servos, and that was the challenge. Turns out afterwards I got it to work pretty well. Turns out when I compared my results to actual proper results, that I didn't include one angle that I should have. So there is a slight error, especially on the edges of the work area. But it was good enough. So I say it was a partial success. Yeah, and the last one. This is OpenMV board, which is basically a camera that you can program with MicroPython with all the learning algorithms and image processing algorithms you can think about. This is a pretty powerful STM32 chip that is connected directly to this camera, so it can process it all. And then there are 2 servos and a gun that can shoot darts, basically, from a drone.
Yeah. Does it work?
And
Can you shoot a dart right now? Or?
Yeah, and this is the stand is actually just from AliExpress. This is a camera gimbal thing that you can get for a few dollars. So as usual, I built this, and it should be able to track your face and shoot in your eye or whatever. But I never programmed.
Where this is going.
Yeah, so this is it. This is my collection of failed or never finished projects.
Nice.
Basically. And yeah, I think that the lesson from this is that it's perfectly fine if you don't finish something. It's fine if you build something, see that it works, and don't work on it anymore, but build a new project based on what you learned while you were experimenting. And the only thing is that then you have a drawer full of sad things. But I guess one day maybe they will get finished. Thank you.
Yeah, I like the walking and driving robot, but it kind of needs paint, I guess. It felt like you should have the equipment to paint.
No. So in the Ghost in the Shell universe, those robots can go invisible because they have thermo-optic camouflage. And the idea was, because the servos are also kind of transparent plastic, that the robot is actually in the invisible mode. That's why it's transparent.
Nice save. Cool. Yeah, I shouldn't watch YouTube. There's a little delay. Yeah, very nice. I think I had another question. But I forgot it.
Just a sec. Am I really the guy that introduces the hum? Like, is it from my mic setup? Okay. If you don't mind, I'll just get a new mic. 30 seconds. I'll be back. Hopefully with the clear audio. Just one sec.
We can fill it with awkward silence.
I mean, we could also show our stuff off in the meantime.
Yeah, sure. Should we do the most dangerous one first? Okay, I'm turning this one now on. I was not expecting that. It's very scary. Okay.
Do you have your safety chopsticks?
I have the safety chopsticks right in front of it. It's so weird to speak into this void of the echo.
Normally sitting in front of a computer at home.
Yeah, when I was giggling, I heard the echo of my laugh. Okay, so probably Radomir can talk about a bit more about this monstrosity, but we have a mechanical calculator here, which is very frightening, but I'm pushing the button now. It's doing something.
Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Oh, good.
Headphones? Oh, those are mine. That's fine. Okay. There are so many things moving in there. Oh yeah. Sorry for any headphone users. So should I go closer with the microphone? Yeah.
So how come the Deshipu knows more about this? As far as I know, someone from Exine has made this.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
what's the story
you
there?
know, all people know each other. That's how it works. So basically, this calculator was bought by my father, rescued from a farm where it was being used at the tax office in there. And then it was just lying there for several decades, I guess. And at some point, I gave it to Leszek as a present. And Leszek is now in Berlin and is a member of Exine. So he's trying to get this thing to work. It's actually a calculator that can do addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division.
Wow.
Everything mechanically. And multiplication is, as you would expect, done by just doing addition very fast because it has electric motor in there. And it basically, oh, here is Leszek.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, so multiplication is basically just adding very fast with an electric motor. A nice thing also in the back, there is a printer in there. So there are basically there is a mechanism similar to the typewriter, but each of the vertical things has 10 digits on it.
So the output of the calculation would be on paper.
Yeah, you also have like this rotating thing from like in a car. Yeah.
Here too.
Oh.
So this is like a normal calculator, and you also get everything printed on paper.
And it's super.
So previous models had actually a crank, and you used the crank to multiply by just cranking it that many times.
Yeah, how often do you have to crank that? Is it better now?
It depends on how much the multiplication is, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the first electric models. And later they made electronic calculators, so this whole industry collapsed.
Yeah.
Imagine
it looks incredibly complex.
Yeah, imagine how many working hours you need to assemble one of those.
Yeah, and they did really work. Like they were very expensive machines, but you bought them, and they replaced manual addition, manual calculation, so they really did work.
Super nice and dangerous. Yeah,
it sounds at least dangerous.
I want to keep everything that touches it in safe, healthy function.
Originally, it had a case around it, so you didn't see all the moving parts.
Yeah, someone asked why I'm not. Yeah, right. I'm not gonna repeat that. I'm not gonna say that loud. But yeah, someone asked. Cool. So that was a nice intermission, and I heard Robin, and it didn't sound like it was crackling.
Yeah, is it better now?
It sounds much better, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, the mic I had before was lent to me by Stefan from CNC Kitchen, and I have to talk to him about the quality of his gear.
Well, that's
why embarrassing from a professional YouTuber.
Well, that's why I give away stuff, because it doesn't really work.
Yeah, we give the
probably. Yeah, I have it for 2 weeks now. He didn't call me to let me know that he wants it back, so maybe that's the reason.
That explains that.
It's also nice to know that your
in contact with that person.
Yeah, he's kind of living in the same town, and we met really early in his and my. I mean, it's mine is not really a YouTube career, but he certainly is. And we met really early, and yeah, he's like a 5-minute drive from my place, so we kind of, yeah,
Nice.
it's a very nice person.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and I
I love
was
that stuff.
on his stream a couple of times, but that's also a long time ago. He's not streaming so much recently. Yeah, but it's cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a question actually for deshipu. Are you or I saw many robots like that on the internet. Do they all use like inverse kinematics for walking, or is it
Yeah, usually not. Usually they have some kind of pose system where you have hard-coded poses and they just
Oh yeah.
move from one pose to the other. That was one reason why I worked on my robots, because they really did inverse kinematics. And then on top of that, they actually calculated like how far to move the legs forward to have a certain speed and
Yeah.
things like that. That was at the time very interesting to me. And I was very disappointed that all the robots on the internet basically had hard-coded poses.
So that's basically, like keyframe animations, basically pre-recorded and pre-programmed.
Yeah, except they actually were calculated by hand. Not they don't have like position sensors on those servos.
Yeah.
Well, they have position sensors, but they are not exposed to the program.
Yeah.
Only the motor. So servo only keeps the position. And yeah, even the recent one, the Petois, Petoi, I don't know how you pronounce that, the plastic one, only got like proper working program recently, and it uses a Raspberry Pi for this. This is an Arduino Pro Micro,
Oh yeah.
so at Mega.
So that's not even certainly Python. That's like C++,
Right.
right?
Later, I switched to CircuitPython because it's just faster to program it and to experiment. But in terms of processing power, you don't really need 8-bit microcontroller. Is perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Yeah, but it's more about the, I don't know, maybe the development of projects. Like if you have CircuitPython or MicroPython going on, I saw that with my project, and you make progress pretty fast, and it kind of keeps you motivated instead of spending weeks and months tuning, C++ allocations and whatnot.
I spent 3 weeks on this project debugging a memory overflow issue.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
was somewhere completely different place.
Yeah, imagine you have like this project in your drawer with a memory problem. Like, what's the chances that you pull it out and are motivated to fix that? But if you have a project in a nice state or whatever, I think it's more likely that you continue instead of having some weird C issue laying in your drawer. It's not going to see daylight ever again.
Yeah, it's also the question of this is Pro Micro, so I need a separate programmer to program it, to flash it. So I need to write the program, compile it, flash it on the device, and then I can see what happens. In CircuitPython, I have a REPL. I can try things live. Just connect the cable and just type the commands in the console, and I can see what happens. That's so much faster.
Yeah, absolutely. I fully agree. Yeah.
There was a request to Robin that you could maybe.
Yeah, I just bumped it a little bit. I can do a little bit more if you want. How's that? Is that better?
There's definitely a difference between you guys.
Okay. Is it better now? I can go higher than that. I just don't want to go in auto because I think it's, then gaining up to my 3D printers.
Oh, sneakily printing.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
I think there's some noise cancellation going on with StreamYard.
Yeah, could be. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good now. Great.
Yay.
So what did I miss about the typewriter? I mean, is that a typewriter or is that, something I saw in Blacklist the other day?
Well, maybe in French in the first episodes as well. It's a mechanical calculator
Wow.
with a
There's
thing.
another one that looks like a tube. You can buy it right now. It's kind of getting produced right now. It's ridiculously expensive, and I cannot remember the name of it.
It's not on, but maybe you can try.
I don't know what levels
Turning
to
it
push.
on.
Wow.
Whoa! That's why these two. I can do it.
I know why you're using chopsticks for that.
Oh yeah.
It feels very dangerous.
So the motor it has is actually quite beefy. It's like a sewing machine motor.
Yeah.
100 watts.
100 watts. Wow. Okay, that is quite. And I mean, I'm not sure if you can see that in the camera, but there's so many like levers and things going on that are interconnected. Like I can see how that just takes a lot of power to move all of that.
Oh yeah, and I think it's gonna grease up over time. Like if it gets older, all the oil and stuff, it's gonna accumulate dirt and go even harder.
There are definitely things stuck in there because the digits won't move, and probably plenty other things.
Yeah, so just take it apart and re-lube it.
Yeah. Well,
Assembling that together is the challenge.
Yeah, and the idea is to film it with how many cameras? 2, 3? 3 cameras from plenty of sides so that you can take it and put it back together.
I'm loving the setup here. How many angles of machine we're getting here?
Yeah, well, I'm sure BitLooney would do it in a single stream.
So in an electronic calculator, when you type all the digits that you can type on the display, you basically can't type anymore, and it beeps or doesn't do anything. In here, when you cannot type anymore, the keys are actually physically blocked, so you cannot press the key.
Mm.
And I suspect that this is the mechanism that is jammed in there. And just all the digits are blocked because it always thinks that you are past all the digits on the display.
Can't you just submerge it in WD-40 for a week or something? Is that not an option?
Oh, we get a nod from behind the camera. No. It's still a no. Okay. What's going on? Yeah. Definitely maybe.
I mean, it was a half joke, right? I mean, a half joke, maybe a third joke.
No.
So, do we want to interleave and like maybe let Robin show stuff, or do we want to finish? So, yeah, that sounds good.
Let's switch to Robin.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of projects. I've been working the last months on the Pixelpump here and the magazines for it, which holds the components. So that's basically a vacuum pump for manual SMD PCBA. It actually has a pen, which I do not have here, that is held by magnets up here, and you just grab it. You know what? Let me show you one. So this is actually connected to the back here. Okay. Let's see. So this is how it looks. That's the hand piece you just take from here, and it has the standard lure lock, nozzles that you can use for picking up electronic components and putting them on your PCB, which has solder paste before, put onto the PCB before, and then you can just build boards with it. It's kind of not meant to replace pick and place machines, but it's something a little more than just tweezers. But if you're making 1,000 boards, it's probably not the right gadget. But if you're like I built 20 Pixelpumps or something so far, all have like 3 PCBs on them with a couple of components. It's way faster than just using tweezers. And that's kind of the original idea here, and it kind of exploded into an RGB interface with a foot pedal and whatnot. yeah, it's a cool project. I had a lot of fun working on it. And as we were talking about that before, I made the switch from C to MicroPython, and I think I had the firmware ready in like 3 days or something, or most parts. And I was not even close to that in C++. I have to admit that I'm not a C++ expert or something, nor am I a Python expert by any means. But I just, you can get up and running a lot quicker with that. And also, I think since it will be an open source project, I think the entry barrier for people to contribute or even hack around themselves is a lot lower with MicroPython than it is with C.
For sure.
Yeah, and that's kind of it. It's as small as I could get it, so it fits on the desk and does not take up too much space. And yeah, I mean, that's basically it. It has a couple of cool things that I think other, competing products do not have. For example, I have a filter here. I just cannot zoom in the camera much more. That's my only problem. But I have a small filter here that prevents stuff, from entering the pumps and valves and stuff. And it has a reverse mode that you can start here, and then it pushes air instead of, sucking it. So if you have a clogged nozzle, for example, you have touched your solder paste or something, you can just go into reverse and push it out again, and it works pretty good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like a machine for Mr. Twinkle Twinkle.
It sounds like that's a feature that you discovered while using it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I had like the standard, vacuum aquarium pump with some hacky pen and the nozzle up here. And I threw away many nozzles because I just touched the solder paste while the pump was running.
Right.
And, even the slightest amount, or the tiniest amount of solder paste into the nozzle in the front will make or keep your components sticking to the nozzle, even though you want to, put them to the board. You'll just pick them up. And I wanted a way to clean that. And if you just, take a wipe and wipe off the tip, you're not getting rid of the paste that it's inside the tip. There's always some residue inside. And when you go into reverse mode and push air out and then take a wipe, it's clean after that. So it's a mode that I use regularly, to be honest. Yeah. And then what is also a really cool feature about it, I'm KiCad. I use KiCad and iBomb. I use the iBomb. I'm sure people are familiar with iBomb, right? I don't think we need a screenshot, but it's kind of just displaying your bomb, and next to it is your PCB. And if you hover over one component, it's going to highlight it on the PCB, so you know where to place it. And you can, take your arrow keys on the keyboard and go up and down. And I just made the pump act as a keyboard, so you have the second foot pedal, which you can tap, and it's going to go into the next row, which is not a huge deal, but like in terms of the implementation, but it's so much more convenient, and it accelerates things because you're completely hands-free. You don't need your PC or mouse or,
Right.
It's a great deal of automation. And if you long press the pedal, it's going to go up again, because sometimes you just accidentally go to the next line, or you think you might have missed a component, want to take a look again, into the above or like the last component, you can go back again. Yeah, that's basically it. And
Really
yeah,
cool feature.
yeah, I mean, I shipped a couple of beta units to a couple of people, and so far they were happy. So I guess it's kind of a helpful feature.
Yeah,
So
I mean, like, sorry, go ahead.
What kind of pump are you using?
Honestly, that's the fish pump. That's the pump you get. Yeah, and I had this one here.
Reverse mode.
This pump here. That's the pump you get from
Nice.
your sources. And let me tell
How
you,
loud is it?
You hear that?
Yeah.
I mean, it is like right here next to the. It's not that loud actually. It's in a
That's
case.
pretty good.
It's surrounded by some EPDM, rubbery, foamy, sticky tape, which takes the vibration out of the device. It has some rubber feet. It is not that loud actually. I mean, you cannot tell from like this stream here because who knows how far it's away from the mic and whatnot. But it's not too loud. And just to come back to the pump, like this was my original pump I had for my first prototype, and I had a couple of pump samples from German companies and other sources, and they were like 10 times as expensive as this one, but this one is better. Like it has a greater vacuum. Honestly, it has a greater pressure, a greater vacuum. It's quieter, and I think the way it's built, it's gonna last longer than the ones that I had from one or two German companies, because it's not a membrane pump. It actually has, 3 silicone, how do you call that, like cylinders, and it has, well, how would I explain that? It has no membrane that's gonna rupture as quickly as the silicone things in here, I believe. I mean, yeah, it's a great pump. Like honestly.
So it's like a peristaltic pump. It has
no,
piece of...
not really. It has like I had an open one here, which I cannot find right now, but it has like 3 independent cylinders that go up and down, and they just push up some silicone sock, which generates the vacuum or the pressure. And you cannot actually reverse the pump. Even if you reverse the voltage, the port for the vacuum will still be the port for the vacuum, because it's not dependent on the rotation of the motor. And
Okay, that sounds actually like peristaltic pump, the one used for blood.
As far as I know, the peristaltic pump is kind of the silicone hose in a U shape, and you have the rollers pushing stuff through. That's not how it works. Maybe this is also called a peristaltic pump. I'm not sure, but it's not on that principle. It is. Yeah. Should I open one? I mean, I can open one.
I think it's fine. I think we can all search
it's
later
not
how it's
just
built inside.
Just peeking into the chat here. It's not a diaphragma pump. It is. I don't even know if that pump has some name. I just know that I was really happy with it, and it was quieter, more powerful, and I think it lasts longer than the competitors that I tested.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I think I have the same pump on the light placer, which is like this DIY.
Oh, I am sure.
Machine.
Those are super
exact
common.
Same kind of.
If you go and hit vacuum pump on AliExpress or whatever, you're gonna find those. And yeah, it's just my opinion. I think those are great pumps.
The only gotcha that I had from these, like when I built the light placer, I think the motor might have been defective. Like it induced noise into the system, and I had like some limit switches go off while the pump was running.
Yeah, well, I have a PCB on the end of it, and this kind of shields, or it's soldered onto the 2 terminals, but it's also soldered on the backside. Maybe I can walk up to the camera, but no, I cannot. It's too far away. It's soldered to the metal casing and also to the terminals, and the metal casing forms. There's a ring on the backside and a shielding layer on the front side, and it's connected to the electronic housing, and it kind of shields off the brushes. And also I'm PWMing, and the MOSFET is on this PCB here, so there's no high current PWM going through some antenna wires. It is as close to the terminals as possible. And I have not yet have test results from the EMI chamber. I have one unit sent to Hamburg to a person who has a chamber in his company. It's not an official test, not an official EMI test, but it's first indication. Yeah, and the first pump I sent was pretty good, but had a few issues, and I think this kind of solves like the issue with the DC motor. To me, it looks like a good thing, but I cannot prove, or I don't have any test results so far. But I don't know any. There's also I don't know if you know that there's the XYZ or something suppressor capacitor, which also has the common mode filter. It's in one component, and it's also on here. Yeah, I don't know what else I could do, to have a DC motor in a certified, product. Other than that.
No, it sounds like a really good design.
We'll see.
I like you entering this interesting space between essentially for prototyping, and I think there's a hole there that needs to be filled.
You mean for the pump? Yeah.
Like the product, the Pixelpump itself.
Yeah, I hope so, and I think so, because it's kind of, if you are more than a one-off board, but less then you would afford a pick and place machine. That's kind of the spot where the pump shines. Like I said, I made like 22 or something pixel pumps so far, and the main board has quite a few components down to 04 or 2. I all hand placed them with the pump. It's a lot quicker than with the tweezers.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, and the problem with what's that?
Go ahead.
The problem with the pick and place machines in my mind is like I have a relatively small shop here. It would stand there doing nothing like 90% of the time, and when I need it, it will be super convenient, no doubt about that. But this thing is kind of it's like 12 centimeters by 8 centimeters or something, and it's just sitting next to your soldering iron, and it's ready to go whenever you want to do some boards. And although not strictly related to the project, there's also the component holders, and those are really made for vacuum pickup, because there are so many solutions to have your SMD components stored and organized. Like there's the tray. I saw the round table Unexpected Maker made. Those are all cool, but I think they have one flaw, and that's if you dump all components into a container, you have to orient every single part on pickup. Like here, they all come out in the same orientation. And if you have like 10 diodes on your board, that those will come out here all the same direction. You don't have to rotate them first. And I think that's an issue, especially if you want to be,
And you can unload the tape. I think it's also a big bonus for that. Like if you want to change out the components, if it's dumped into like a container, it's like in there, you have to use it up.
Yeah, exactly.
And for the pick and place, like even if you have the space and the money, I think the biggest hurdle is like, when do you need one? And it's like pick and place is cool if you need to make many.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like the prices for that have come down so much that it usually isn't worth it to do it myself, time-wise or money-wise.
You mean you want to go for the PCBA service instead?
Yeah, usually I would say like if you have the need, usually because they do have all the quality assurance stuff that you can do, optical inspection and all that kind of stuff. And for me, sometimes you need 2 or 3 prototypes, and setting up a pick and place machine.
Yeah.
That setup time is so long that in that time I have it placed with tweezers.
Yeah.
So, bringing down that hand assembly time, I think that's really what I'm looking for at the moment. So
yeah, and
cool,
to be very honest, I think you're right. Even if you had a pick and place machine, you'd probably still want one of those pumps, actually, to be honest, because like you said, if you're doing 2 boards, like how long are you going to set up your pick and place machine for that? Like
I have a lot of places. I have a pick and place machine, but I never use it because I never really hit that small sweet spot where it would make sense.
I heard that from one person who received a Pixelpump beta unit. Also has a light placer, I believe. I think it's the exact same thing. And he also said he's not going to use that anymore for 10 boards or 5 boards. I mean, it's cool if you need 500 LDD strips or something. You're certainly not want to do them by hand.
LED matrices are one of the few things where those can make sense.
And that's fully
before.
Yeah, and that's a perfectly valid scenario for having such a machine. But I think most of the people, I can only speak for myself, actually. I make many boards, many different boards, and setting up the pick and place machine for all kind of things, I just don't see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
your brain is master.
To come back to the components, I mean, with every project I do, the box full of these things is getting bigger, and especially for common things like LEOs or decoupling caps and whatnot, I just take them. They are already labeled and filled up, and I just take an empty rail and put those on here, and I'm ready for picking and placing. There's no more setup I have to do, actually, than to grab the components and put them on here. And I'm working on a new labeling system, which will come in a sticker sheet, like a DIN A4 sticker sheet, that you can peel off individual stickers, and you can just scan, an LCSC or DigiKey label from a bag, and it'll generate the label for you, and then you just
Oh, nice.
put it in your printer, print it out, and stick it on here, and you're done. And you can,
That's really cool.
you're up and running really quick then. Yeah, but
See, you're building a whole ecosystem there.
yeah, well, it kind of one came to another while doing boards. I kind of felt, this might be nice or that might be nice, and that's just the things I built. Yeah, and who I didn't even mention that, but the project is on crowd supply. It's not, the campaign is not running yet, but it's on the pre-launch page, or the pre-launch campaign. I'm working on getting that done pretty quickly, but it's a lot of work. Yeah, so if you're interested in seeing a pump, just maybe I can post a link or something. I haven't.
I think there should be some in the description.
Oh,
at least
I-
your
Oh,
So
yeah,
about
tools.
it before,
Oh
appreciate
yeah,
that.
thank you. Yeah.
Also this.
Yeah, I also have a live stream that I recorded on my YouTube channel, which shows me using that to build a few boards. Like I'm using the pump and the magazines for that. So if you're interested, yeah, that's kind of enough for me. Like, how many hours did I talk now?
That's fine. You got
Not even one.
first time guests are allowed to talk a long time.
Not even
I
one.
think the record holder is still Blinky.
Twinkle.
Twinkle.
Twinkle, twinkle.
He talked for 2 hours, I think.
Oh really? Like,
Oh.
okay.
I thought.
I think, well, it was a long time. I think
Was
it
a long
was 45 minutes, and I was the host.
Well, I think the whole cast was like 3.5 hours at least.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're good. If you have anything
Great.
else, feel free to show off.
Yeah.
Not so
I've
much.
last month.
We
No,
also
not
have
There was a question in the chat if you have an estimated price for this.
Yeah, that's kind of hard, and the folks over at Crowd Supply kind of told me not to communicate pricing because it's not fixed yet, and people might be disappointed or whatever. I think it's gonna be clear in just 1 or 2 weeks or something. I hope. Yeah, it's cheaper than a pick and place machine. Let's keep it like that. No, that's basically all
That's
I can
fair.
say right now. I'm sorry for that.
That's normal.
Yeah.
It's hard
There's
to
one
communicate.
other thing that might be interesting to talk about, and that's kind of running a print farm, quote unquote. I have like 3 printers running, and it was
Right.
more work than I had anticipated until they were, like really reliable machines. Like I have the Prusa mini printers running with Octoprint each, and one Octofarm instance running on a Mac Mini in my local network that kind of manages all that and syncs up the files, because once you accumulate printers, you certainly do not want to, like, you're iterating all over the place, and if you have a new G-code file, you don't want to go into X printers and upload a new file, and you're not gonna be in sync there. And that's kind of a cool thing to have, a central thing. I really don't like Octofarm that much. I think the UI is kind of really not intuitive or something, but it works, and that's the cool thing. But what actually is interesting is that I actually thought about open sourcing that. I have a document set up that goes from A to Z, from setting up a Prusa Mini, from buying it until it is fully calibrated and running Octoprint, and because they have a flaw, and that is they are all XY skewed, and that means it's not in a 90-degree angle, like the arm and the bed is not in a 90-degree angle. And if you have that problem and you print a larger object and you screw them together, they're not flat anymore because they're skewed. It's not printing 90-degree angles. And I had a real problem with my pumps because the bottom plate is kind of a 2-part, assembly, and it's filled with sand, so it's a little heavier. And those two are fairly large in 2 pieces, and if I screwed them together, the pump is not sitting still on 4 feet but only on 2. It's kind of gimbaling like that, and that's because of the skew. And that's really making you a bad day if you are trying to have a print farm making good parts, and every second part is like not good anymore.
And you
So,
plan on basically assembling all of the Pixelpump units yourself, right?
Yeah,
That's why you
yeah.
built this. Yeah.
Yes, I am, and actually, I mean, I am scared to communicate that publicly, but I said I'll make up to 100 pumps without any pick and place machine, just by myself using the Pixelpump.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's the best advertisement you can make for your product, I would say.
If
guess,
it breaks in the process, you can always use one of the ones you assembled.
Yeah, I mean, all of those are like this one. I just
Right.
assembled 2 hours ago or something.
The QA of the machine is to make a new machine.
Yeah, basically. I mean, would be cool to assemble a unit and then use that unit for the next one before you pack it into the packaging.
Right.
That would be kind of the real world, like the test. No,
Yeah,
but I
and
enjoy
you
it.
get QA in the process.
I really love building those, and I want to keep, kind of it's handmade. I don't know. Yeah, I enjoy building them. That's cool. If I could do
Made in
that
Germany.
as my job, I would do it. It's cool.
Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
So with their 3D printer problems, do you think you can see a professional about that? You know someone?
Sorry, what's that? I didn't get it.
Yeah, sorry. I was kind of making a joke that you know Stefan, and was
Yeah.
maybe thinking
Yeah.
you can invite him and then suddenly talk about this little 3D printer problem you have.
Yeah, well, he certainly is a professional, but the thing is, he has a Prusa Mini sitting in his room for weeks and he had no time yet to work on that, and those problems are kind of really related to that printer. So
Okay.
I think that's nothing he could help me with, actually.
Well, you can help him then when he starts printing with his machine.
Yeah,
He also made
well,
his first PCB.
yeah, he did. And we had a stream, or not a stream, but he was showing me his board today. Yeah, today. And like he just wanted to know how to send the files to the to the fab, and
Yeah.
just having someone looking over the boards.
Right, yeah.
Looked
Yeah,
really
but
nice.
He did
For a
it by
first
himself.
board.
I didn't. He came up
Yeah.
with the finished board.
Very nice.
Awesome. Always cool when people branch out into new things.
Oh yeah,
learning
absolutely.
New stuff.
Hmm.
All right.
Cool.
Do you
Should I? Yeah.
think, everyone might be wondering what's the blinky thing on our desk here?
Is that
Well,
a
there are
music
some
instrument?
blinky things. This one is. Are we
Yeah.
prepared for some sound?
Oh wow, is that coming from that machine?
It is. And since we have the audio video guys, we have the sound coming.
That's cool. Is that a sequencer, or what is
Yes.
that?
It's
Yeah.
a sequencer, and also, synthesizer would be a bit too much, but the beeping noise is also coming from this. We're gonna-
So what are the knobs doing? Is that just the gain, or is that the tone? Or
so
what is that?
Maybe let's just start by.
In the picture.
I'm in the picture?
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Okay. One is still on, this one. Okay. So this is a 16-step sequencer. And I have some knobs that can, for example, let it go backwards. And I can also switch between going to 10 and doing 8 or 16 steps.
I have a suggestion.
Okay.
The switch that makes it go backwards should be horizontal.
Oh, yeah, so I click, yeah, okay. There's a little guiding hole that holds it there, so I should probably drill a hole then. Oh, yeah. This is a nice switch. It inverts the other half, so any information it gets, it will just turn around, basically, so you can go forwards and backwards there.
That's cool. So how do you actually make the tone? Like, where do you set up,
So
pitch and
the
stuff?
tone, the tone itself is this is a variable resistor, and then there's a capacitor, and both together are charging. Well, with a Hex-Schmidt trigger, the capacitor gets charged and discharged over the inverter. It's a bit tough to explain in a sentence, but basically with the resistor, you change the time it takes for the capacitor to charge and discharge. So that way you get a frequency, a different frequency.
Yeah, that's cool.
So when I hope the switch works. So right now it's number 1 and number 9.
And all of a sudden you are in Berghain.
That's only, how far is it? 500? No, it's 2 kilometers. 1. Nobody knows. Okay, there's some interference that shouldn't be there, but
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
it's glitching a bit. Not gonna turn up the volume, but didn't touch it. Huh? Okay, just a few hundred meters. For anyone who wants to join Exine, be
Also
aware.
very close to the other hand.
It's a very short trip to Berghain.
Oh, what are the sockets on the bottom?
Yeah.
Sockets on the bottom. These? There's a chip in there that basically controls the LEDs, but what I can also use this for is getting a signal out. So I could basically connect one of these LEDs, and I don't think the reset thing right now is connected, but it could technically reset itself at a different point.
So it's basically just it's a trigger you can use for some other function.
Yeah. So I can, I could also give this to an effect that is basically a drum, a kick, or a snare.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
And I can also make some weird noises with it, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, this looks like a completely legit machine you'd sample off and take into your whatever VST, music production software you have.
Yeah. Well, there's also a plan that you can get a clock signal from somewhere else, so you can control the frequency of those knobs better. But it's actually pretty hard to get a good tone out of this.
Yeah.
So it goes into like modular synth direction, or?
Technically, yes, but you don't have a control voltage. Normally, for sequencers, synthesizers, you have a control voltage from 0 to 12, I think, where an octave is for what was it like? There's 1 volt is 1 octave. So this isn't working like that at all. You just have the capacitors that are charged and discharged. There's no outside control for this.
I see.
Unless there's a video on Moritz Klein's channel about that. And maybe there is.
That's cool. Yeah, I think, when having like analog, yeah.
We can turn it off now.
I mean, the cool thing is if you have something like that, which is not microcontroller, driven, but instead using analog knobs and whatnot, you'd come up with combinations that you just wouldn't program into it if you just had a touch screen or whatever.
Yeah, it's nothing in there is programmed. It's all just analog chips. It's the 4000 series. Mostly, I think there's one opto thing in there, but yeah.
There's one.
I'm not sure how safe it is to turn around.
It looks okay. It's just a power cable.
Let's just try it for a second. I think it's okay too. Oh. Am I breaking? Oh shit.
Yeah, you sure?
I'm breaking the other thing that's...
Maybe you can just unplug it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Leszek. I will buy you a new one if I have to. power. Cut it. Can you put the output button for a second? Oh shit, I grilled it. I'm sorry. Okay. That one was good. Okay. So yeah, there are some 4000 series in there. One is for, well, basically there are, where do I start? I don't really have a presentation for this, but there's the Schmidt hex trigger. That's basically doing all the frequencies. It's giving me the clock for the counter IC, and the counter IC is has 4 pins that, the 4 pins that are binary outputs. So it's basically giving you 16 options, and those are connected to the LED controllers and then to a multiplexer that basically takes 8 outputs and connects it to an input, or the other way around. It doesn't really matter because it's just connecting channels. And this is what I use for the variable resistors to connect them to the 4051. Yeah.
That's cool.
Nice.
So
then
what is that hidden USB socket doing?
Hidden USB socket.
No, just a joking.
Okay. Yeah, no USB planned. Maybe for power, but this is powered by 12 volts.
But it's a really cool project.
Yeah, thanks. I'm working on this for a year, I think, at least. Oh,
You're kind of doing a lot of music projects, right? Are you like actually making music, like I mean on SoundCloud or whatever?
There should be a SoundCloud account, but I haven't used that for like in a while. Yeah, but I don't think anyone would listen to this beeping stuff unless it's woodworking.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. Like, I mean, of course, it's not a complete track you do there, but you could certainly sample off stuff from there and use it in, whatever track or, song you make.
Yeah, I might look into that. I definitely want to have a playable, and then, yeah, we'll see.
Awesome stuff. Do we want to try to power the matrix back on?
Yeah, maybe Leszek can check that when we not have it on camera. That's okay. You don't mind? Oh, I'm super scared that it's broken, so if you can...
There was a little bit of a spark.
Again?
No, before.
Yeah, I saw the spark. It was, I think it was connecting
but I think it was just the ground, like the power supply being short.
No,
I mean,
knows.
we saw it running. We have it on tape, so that's fine.
Yeah, it's a high voltage display, so
yeah.
maybe don't touch it.
So what's
smoke and the Arduino is blinking.
Yeah, I didn't break the Arduino. The cheapest part of it. So this should be the positive thing. Is the 12 volt thing still running?
No. That was your 12 volts.
Yeah, but it's also, I think, does it need 12 volts? Just leave it? Okay.
Okay.
It's okay, it's just a MakerCast, you can talk. All right. Man, I feel bad. What a dog.
what's the screen actually on the right side of it? That had the scan line?
That's the one that I broke.
Oh, that's the one you broke.
Yes. Okay. There were parts, and this is a project of Leszek as well. And yeah, as you were able to see, the lines going down, that's something pretty special because you kind of made it work so that the lines. I forgot the name of it, but there was a project on Hackaday, and someone figured out how to control it. But there were always lines between the characters. And
what type of display is that?
It's a neon one. Okay.
Neon matrix.
It's a neon matrix, and I think it's something Russian.
Both on?
Yes.
Hold on.
It had that nice yellow color to it.
Yeah, it's very orangey
when it works.
Or orange.
when
Yeah.
it works. Wow.
When it works, yeah.
Yeah, it's not doing anything. I'll put this on.
Okay.
But yeah,
And scroll both at time, right?
yes,
both are on.
And
The 12 volt
power
is not pulling any current at all.
yeah.
Dave had, I think, unplugged that red crocodile.
I think oh, okay. I think I shorted a capacitor to ground, so maybe it's just a capacitor that's broken. But
So the display is actually called MS6205, if anybody is interested. And there is a hackaday.io project for this particular thing. So you can look for
It worked again.
does?
Just one ground missing.
Ah, it's going upwards, but
Oh, it's gone again.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
that was-
This would fit perfectly
Just
to your
everything standing
machine.
there.
So there is a URL I'm pasting into the chat, but I don't have the rights to make it appear. So if
What?
anybody could,
Oh, yeah,
I'm gonna make you a moderator. You should be able to post the link. So maybe the yay. So glad. I'm confused that it's
I
going
can
up.
paste it without the HTTP in
I-
front, right? And then
You're a moderator now. You can post
You
the
can
link.
post links now, yeah.
So
Okay.
maybe we can open that as a screen share. That's a lot.
oh, now it works. Great.
Cool.
No, it works.
Oh, top chat. Whew, okay. So it's Russian. Maybe that's why it's. Is it Russian?
It's Ukrainian, actually.
Ukrainian. Okay.
But
but-
it has a Soviet history, so it will survive a day.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
which is nice. Because I'm also from East Europe.
And the nice thing about neon displays is that they actually are surprisingly low power. Because neon lights don't actually use that much power. They need high voltage. That's the downside. But otherwise, they don't really consume that much.
Somehow the link didn't post. Where did you post the link? Oh, you had it in the private chat and StreamYard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
I
it-
posted it in the YouTube chat as well.
Weird.
It appears for me. Not sure if right.
There we go.
Oh, posted it twice. Oh, was that me as in you? Ah. Nice. Yeah, I got some help there, but I also posted it.
You mic.
Oh yeah, my mic likes to do the flip. Sorry. Cool. Okay, so we have the link. Can we open that somehow? Well, I mean, it's the same display, but you can see at the page that there are lines between the dates and whatever's in there. Let me just open it myself.
Yeah, share your screen.
Yeah, I got it. I'm scrolling through it as well. It's kind of cool.
Oh, is that Leszek's project? Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, that makes sense. But then I was talking about the other project where you can only see that there are lines in between the text, and you made it work.
The other project is this.
I mean, nobody can see what we're seeing, so maybe you should do a screenshot.
Pasting it as.
Not really in there. That's fine.
Okay.
But yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah,
Wanna
it's
share
kind
it
of
out? You have the link.
235 volts. It's really, I mean, those displays are so cool, but it's very unfortunate that they're not, made anymore. It's cool for one-off projects, but I'd love to include that in or see that in a commercial project. I mean, how cool would that be if you would buy a project like a thing, it had such a display. I mean, that would
So
be
the thing is, actually, neon lights are not that difficult to make at home.
yeah.
Really?
I think it would be possible to make such a display. I mean, it would be a huge project still.
Yeah.
But
So technically you're at Exine right now, and you just said that technically you can do it, and we have a duocracy here, so you said it, you have to make it now.
Yeah. Well, you better hang up now and drive
I'm
to Berlin.
allergic to high voltage.
So this is the point at MakerCast where everybody gets on eBay and checks prices for a random project that we mentioned. Like the last time we had the hit clips.
Oh yeah, I have a whole bag of hit clips now at home.
Oh, really?
What is that even? Hit
It's like
clip?
this precursor to MP3,
Oh,
or like
Oh.
a low budget MP3, where it's like one song on one cartridge,
Oh, that's kind
Hey,
of cool.
1 minute?
and 90 seconds, I think it was. And
No, there's a version with 1 minute, and then there's a version that came later that was a disc with 2 minutes.
Oh, that's cool. Never seen that before, but I'm just looking at it.
and yeah, then Guy Dupont, I think is his name.
Yeah.
He wants to recreate hit clips with a microcontroller, which I think is a really awesome project.
Oh yeah, it is.
I got last MakerCast episode for that, and I'm sure he will be on in the future to talk about that more.
Hopefully, yeah. And I took apart mine, and there was a resistor on there, and I was just interested in what this resistor is doing. So when I removed it, the speed of the playback was gone to like very low.
Nice. Okay, so they calibrate it with
Yeah. So they have some weird, maybe they didn't have that much data in the Backstreet Boys sample, so they could ramp it up a bit more, or yeah, it was kind of funky. And then I added a variable.
On that.
That's what I did. And then I had Backstreet Boys playing fast and like sounding like Mickey Mouse, and
But they,
very fun.
do they have a like the, how do you call the, the blob on the PCB that has the IC
it has a
underneath
blob.
it?
It's a blob,
Yeah.
blob IC with the samples, but like burnt into the silicon.
Yeah,
apparently.
that's unfortunate.
Which, like, the interesting part is like the player itself, like the device what you plug it into, that has no logic in it. It's just like a battery and the audio output, but the cartridge itself is basically the player. So that makes the output, like the sound output. So
Okay.
you could nowadays, just, it's basically selling an MP3 player for every time you want to sell a song, which I think is
Yeah,
ridiculous.
okay. Yeah.
Not sure who made these design decisions, but it had to make sense. to someone.
Maybe they had planned that you had some, sort of stereo or something where you could also plug them in, or but yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they also have a radio module, so maybe that was the idea, that you have more than. Yeah, that actually makes sense. So and now I've gotten like a set of different things, and there was like an FM radio module that like plugs into the player, and then you can listen to radio instead. So maybe that was the.
It's technically you can just connect to 2 pins a speaker, and then you're good. It just plays it, which is, I think, even amplification is in there, because I had the headphone player and was just connected to this one single headphone thingy that you can put in your ear, and then the wires went straight to the cartridge. I traced it. It wasn't that much of an effort.
So it really is like one MP3 player per cartridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, that's the downside of having Spotify and whatnot, is that every song kind of loses, like you have so many songs, you countless songs, you just click on them and click the next and whatever, and those have, how do you say it in English? Wertigkeit? What's the English word for that? Like they're just worth so much more if you have a song in a cartridge instead of a library with 10,000 and whatever songs. It's like having
It's like a
a
very
CD
crappy
album.
version of vinyl, where you like.
Yeah.
Have an object
Yeah.
that you kind of like.
Yeah, you're kind of choosing it from the shelf, and let's take this one, not that one, and put it on, and it's a project until you hear music. And I think that's a cool thing about the cartridges. Like, Sure, it's cool to have every song on hand, but I think it's cool to have a set of songs on hand. Maybe I don't know. Kind of feels.
You could do this today with QR code.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
have like
yeah, no, absolutely, no doubt about that. But just imagine you had a card collection thing going on, and all of the cards were just some image in your app versus having a card deck. That's kind of something different.
I think the physicality definitely makes
Yeah.
has some aspect to that. It's a different process of listening to something in that case.
I mean, technically, you can do something like that with Spotify these days. They have this barcode thing.
Yeah, but it's different. Like what Robin says, like you need that physical factor of like taking something and now I'm
yeah,
intentionally.
you can have the physical card with the QR code. You scan the
Oh,
QR
okay,
code,
sure, yeah,
place
okay.
from Spotify.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there were
sure,
people
sure.
printing that, and I did that too. And of course, it was Johnny's favorite song.
Yeah, I was working at a company as an app developer. They made like food recipes and stuff like that. And I always thought, how about having a physical device and sharing recipes in form of some cards with a code on it or whatever. So you had a physical item you could collect somewhere, and not just have an app with like 10 gigabytes of recipes that you don't even, you haven't even looked at them. And but I never was sure if that's a silly idea or if it has something that's kind of cool to it. But I obviously never worked on it. But it's just something that I regularly thought about because we were throwing hundreds and thousands and 10,000s of receipts, into databases and whatnot. It's so anonymous, and yeah, people don't appreciate 5 megabytes of recipes. What is that? Like if you have 2 folders that thick full of recipes from your grandma or whatever, that's worth a lot more than 10,000 recipes on a USB stick. But yeah,
For sure.
I guess that's one for the projects that need to be done drawer that never sees daylight.
Oh yeah, he announced it. Okay. You talked about that thing, right? Did you talk about it?
I can if you want to. I have not in this MakerCast. I have done so the past feels like 10 MakerCasts.
Yeah. Just do it, or
Let me see what the camera's seeing. So I didn't put it up here. So as regular watchers of the MakerCast, you probably know that I am currently working on a carrier board for the Compute Module 4, the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. And should I do the whole thing or?
What's the status on that right now? I mean, what's
It
different
is
from last month? Any
very
progress?
close to being finished in terms of like actually being produced finished. So I've put in the like big order for mass manufacturing.
Nice.
Early August. And I think next week the assembly is starting. So they've been producing the PCBs, which is what takes usually the longest actually.
Okay.
Because there's like a huge backlog that they have to go through.
Is it a huge difference if you have like through-hole components when doing PCBA? Are they gonna say, oh man, that's gonna be double the price because it's through-hole, or is that?
That's not a big difference. Actually, a difference of 1 cent
Okay.
per. So they calculate per pad.
So they do they wave solder them, or right?
I think for the mass production they likely are. I don't think they would do hand soldering for that.
Yeah, not for. I guess not for a cent.
And it's like 1 cent per leg basically. So for each individual
Okay.
like solder joint, I pay a cent
Okay.
by default, and then there's some rebates when I do a lot of them. So I'm producing 1,200 units right now. And
I mean, 1 cent per leg is a fair price when I think about my through-hole soldering here.
Yeah, so in reality, I pay, I think, 0.2 cents. But yeah, given that I order a lot of units, so they
Yeah,
make a bit more money with that. So
that's cool.
actually, like, it's probably can't see this, but there's like a very high density connector on here for connecting to the compute module. And that's like 100 pads per connector. So just these connectors are 200 pads, and that itself is a very expensive component to solder. So that's really where the cost comes down for like PCBA. Is really these high density SMD components, and
Is that? But
yeah,
that's
also
not
like the
through.
PCI Express connector on the bottom here. All these things like where essentially they have a cost for like they have to inspect all of that, and
Yeah.
each solder joint needs to be inspected, and that incurs, of course, cost if they have to inspect 100 small solder joints. So in that regard, like through-hole is not expensive in terms of the overall thing, but because it's just not many usually. Here I have, I don't know, maybe 20 through-hole parts, not parts, pads going on.
This is always when I try to optimize for cost. I always pick the microcontroller in a package that has the smallest number of pins, because they charge you for every pad on the board. Even if it's not much, it adds up.
I mean, or you could you also just opt out for visual inspection, and but then you have to test them yourself, right? That's
You could do that. I really rely actually on optical inspection in this case, because this is mostly a mechanical product, and I was kind of hesitant to have them do a full test of like inserting a module, a compute module, and doing a test with that, because the connector is not rated for many cycles. I think in theory 20. You can in practice go much further, but I wanted to avoid having like them damage it. And really like the best test, and you can sometimes pass these tests when you have a cold solder joints, when like in that moment it looks good electrically and functionally. But you will only find these certain like defects when you optically inspect the solder joints, and that's why I like the most testing goes into that. Like really make sure everything is soldered perfectly well. That will give me much more confidence that you will get a functional unit.
So
I mean, and also you can just pack them into the boxes, or do they do that for you as well?
Yes, they pack them up. Yeah, they will of course get some. So this is the official packaging that they will arrive in, and there's a little.
we can probably put it here.
Little ESD foam thing on the bottom, and then the unit comes into that, and then you also have a little. There will be an ESD bag for like.
Nobody's zooming in on this. I thought we had a zoom position for
Yeah,
this.
there
There we go.
Show the slick packaging. Oh, there's this. You have CE for that?
Yes, I have to. This is a requirement for selling through Mouser. They do not.
Need a
I thought it's a sub-assembly.
screw box.
Yeah, that was quite the headache for me in recent weeks.
Sorry,
What?
I was confused. But that camera, right? Because that one isn't red. I gotta.
Yeah, you don't see that, but we have like tons of cameras around us and lights and whatever. Yes, so CE and all that is really quite a headache. Doing a sub-assembly, the issue there is I can only sell that to a specific audience, and that is like professionals. And Mouser or whoever is selling my boards would have to make sure that they are only selling to professionals, which is of course quite the effort to go through. And so doing that declaration, that just doesn't really work. So I just have to do the full thing, and it's actually not that bad. I have to be compliant to ROS for CE, so there are like the different directives you have to adhere to, and you have to that's on you to figure out which directives apply to your product. And for me, and for most more simpler products, this is at the very least ROS. And if you have any electrical, the ROS is for environmental standards, so you have no toxic materials in there.
LED and stuff.
And then there is the EMC directive, which usually applies as soon as you have any active components on, as a PCB, for example, electrical board that I have. And I have to also do EMC. But
Really? I mean,
it's a very simple board, and this is for Payonara a very not a big deal, because there's really not much going on there.
So do they actually plug in a carrier board and then make the measurement, or how is that?
Yeah, and that is another thing where just the standard is really unclear by default. So I can say, okay, Payonara's default use is as is. The board as it comes, if you plug that in, that is my default use case.
Yeah.
It's a bit silly. That's what it is. And in that case, this does not have any emissions by default because there's nothing powered up. There are ICs on here, but they are not non-functional unless you have a carrier that controls these ICs. What I will, that is the baseline. Unfortunately, all these directives and there's not even officials can give you a clear answer on this.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird because you're technically changing the properties of the compute module itself, right?
That is CE, but though that is and that is what I'm leaning on. That is already CE and FCC certified. I'm following, of course, standards to ensure that all of these signals are routed out in a way that does not affect it.
Yeah, it's a pain. I already started researching on that and doing stuff, and it's I'm having a feeling it takes the same amount of time as building the entire thing. And it's
a rabbit hole. Certification is
Yeah.
an absolute rabbit hole, and
It is.
it's a second job really. There's the R&D part.
Yeah. I want to have a
Company
company
of
with
the R&D was a week.
I want to have a company with an employee that does nothing else than
would
answering
be
my
wonderful.
questions about C, because I don't know. It doesn't make fun. It's a tedious topic. It's unclear. Nobody says something that counts. Whatever.
It's a lawyer job really at the end of the day, needing to understand these legal texts. And
Well, there might be a company like that soon.
sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, yeah, there might be a company maybe soon that will answer all these questions for you.
That would be wonderful. Someone that solves it for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Where is that person in the chat? He's not here. Missed chance, Clem.
If he's here, he can plug his things.
Yeah, but
if he wants to.
Well, we can always invite him for the next one.
All right.
Yeah, I was wondering for a second, there are parts on both sides.
Yes.
And then you also did the wave soldering. But for me, wave soldering means there's a huge wave of tin and you just put your boards in and then you hope that the parts don't fall off. But it's probably something...
Usually wave soldering, if they do that, they have it's not a huge wave of solder, but very directed usually. So it's, like my finger usually thickness. They are different. Just imagine a tube and then there's just solder shooting out of that. And there's this tube is just moving along the board
Adafruit has fascinating videos of the process with the camera following the nozzle. Of the wave soldering.
They have a wave soldering machine, and where they also show how it's programmed. So you program a tool path for that solder gun basically.
That's cool. It's like a fountain of solder basically.
Yeah,
right?
basically like a moving fountain, and you can say to in here it's quite easy because it's just very straight lines, and just go that.
I think I saw an assembly line from the 80s or 90s where they just went with their big boards and their through-hole parts over a huge wave of hot solder, really a standing wave.
For fully through-hole, I can see that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I had in mind actually. I had an image in mind with the huge bath of solder and the boards just come in on some rollers and just go across. And
Yeah, that
Be
is also
ready.
a thing, definitely. I think for like old through-hole stuff, that's how it was done. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's same thing, just downsizing that wave into like a single nozzle instead of one big wave.
Nice.
Oh, and that nozzle actually is in a bath of the solder, because the solder has to drip back
Yeah.
to the. So there is still a big like tank of molten solder in there.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think we can make the tour now, right?
Yeah, right. We still have a tour going.
So, yeah, we should start this in the basement, or I'm gonna start this in the basement. So you have to kill the time until the people are holding up their hands and waving. He's done.
In the meantime, yeah.
But yeah, you'll see me there.
Okay, so what Dave is now doing, so we are at Exine. I'm not sure if we introduced that properly. That is a makerspace in Berlin. And
Thank you for doing that.
and it's a really cool space here. I'm surrounded by lots of LEDs, glowing clouds, and an LED tree. And we wanted to give you a tour of this cool space, and we've prepared like a mobile camera that Dave is now fetching. And yeah, when he's back, hopefully sound will work. There was like a bit of a tricky question earlier, if we can make that work with like mobile sound.
So how come there's so much gear going on, like the cameras, and are they making like videos and streams and whatnot like on a daily basis, or what's the deal here?
I can't speak for them, but I think what I have understood so far is they have sometimes they do events here that they stream, and I'm not sure if that sometimes goes also to CCC events, maybe that setup. Yeah, they're nodding. So this usually is a setup for larger events, and I think some of the gear is new. And we're basically a beta test for all of that stuff, so they can try that out a bit. Yeah, so that's why we have this ridiculous setup right now, because they just have that gear.
Looks
which is
really
freaking
good.
fantastic. Like over there, is a camera that's DMX control that was being able to make these cool shots, and they're holding. Yeah, that's what they're showing there. And then we have a second camera that is showing the other camera, and I'm not sure if they want to be seen, but there's like a whole pult of video guys controlling everything and doing the audio. And yeah, I think it's fantastic. It's the most professional stream I've ever made.
Yeah, you never know how much work actually goes into those kinds of things. We take this for granted, but
it was like a 1 or 2 hour setup before the stream here.
Yeah, it took me 1 or 2
By
hours
the way,
to
the
clean
reason
up,
why
to
I'm
clean up
always
the
looking
workshop.
to the side here, we of course need to see and hear what everyone else is doing. So Dave has a laptop here that we were always looking at. So I'm not sure what Dave's status is right now.
I'm seeing the Dave mobile cam.
Oh yeah, so there is.
But it's kind of
right.
frozen.
We have Dave mobile going. It's frozen. Oh no.
I think they might have no range in there.
Possibly. I mean, they have pretty good Wi-Fi here.
But not in the basement.
Yeah.
It was working in the basement earlier. We did some tests. Let's see. Someone is running down. Maybe we get that fixed. I'm not sure if I can show you other stuff that we have here. I don't feel like talking about what Pioneer does again because I've did that so many times. If you're interested in that, go to crowdsupply.com. I can show you. Let me hear what I have on the panel. So this is what they use to pick and place. Oh, I see camera movement.
Yeah.
Mobile go. Yay.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
Yay, we have sound.
So-
Nice.
Yay! Yeah, I think I have to stand in this spot and hopefully not move the camera too much. But we're down in the basement in the pink room. And we have lots of tools down here. And most of them are also pink, like the wall. And this is our room for heavy woodworking machines and battery-powered tools. And I hope nobody gets seasick or something. We have a CNC over here. The drill press, that's pink.
Why is
We
it
have a
pink?
welding.
Does it
Why
have
is
a
it
reason?
pink?
Yeah.
Well, why isn't
'Cause it's
yeah?
cool,
Why?
or-
Why? Everything should be pink, but
I
we
think
have
it's
color
because
codes.
of the wavelength of the light.
Oh yeah. Well,
Pink.
it
Pink
certainly
has no.
it certainly is not for better Wi-Fi reception.
Yeah. Well, maybe the sparkles
Let's
on the
go
wall
faster.
are preventing us. But yeah, if anyone wants to come to X9 and have regular, meet up stuff for X9, because there are lots of things to do here. Yeah, this is one of the rooms, and the pink just basically means that every tool that is pink has to end up here at the end of the day again if you use it.
Oh
Whoa,
yeah.
Sorry. Quickly move to the SKU bar, and I hope I can keep the Wi-Fi
Oh man,
down
this
here.
place is
Leszek.
huge.
Oh yeah. This is Leszek. And
Is that a copper bar? Or what is
yes.
that? Wow.
And let me just quickly move this chair. So the theme down here is Subnautic, basically, and we have this resin topping on the bar. I'm not sure if this is very visible, but we have embedded some LEDs down here. And yeah, it's I think 4 meters at least of resin. Oh yeah, we have the second camera now. Leszek is showing the end of the bar, and it's like 4 to 5 centimeters thick.
How is it keeping up with the scratches and like is there resin?
It's not.
It's not keeping up.
Sadly not. I think we have to polish this again, but there's some work to be done at the end of the bar.
Looks really cool.
Yeah, thanks.
I'd love to
I
have a
hope
beer
Ines
there.
does that. Sorry?
I'd love to have a beer on that bar.
Oh yes,
You should come visit.
we'll definitely.
Yeah,
if you're
I
in
have-
Berlin, this.
I have to admit, I have never been into Berlin in my entire life.
Me too. It's my first time as well.
Yeah, it's kind of sad
Okay.
to not be there.
Yeah. So whenever there's a MakerCast or a bigger event at Exine, I'll tell you, let you know, and then you can
Yeah.
come over here.
That would
We
be
can have a
nice.
beer, definitely. Or something else. We also have Mate, and then there's another company that sells Mate that we also have down here. Yeah, but is there anything important that I've missed telling here? Well, yeah, and printer room is the next room, but just here. All right. So cable
my
guy
God,
Niklas is
man.
also down here. So this is the
Oh wow.
Very horror movies like.
Oh no, that's just
Getting rapid blinking here. We don't hear you anymore.
printer. We have at least 10 Prusers or Prusa-alike printers.
Right.
We have a belt printer down here. We have a clay printer over there. Right, Delta printer, resin printer. What do we have over there? Resin printers. Yeah, there's a lot going on down here in this little purple field of dreams.
Wow.
Yes, I think there's a member printing right now. Lots of parts actually, which is pretty nice. it's good to see the printers running for a longer time. Oh yeah. Run, people, run! Okay.
Well, that's a huge space.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. So maybe let's go over to the machine room. So over here we have the laser cutter, which is pretty nice. Yeah, I'm constantly cutting something in 3mm MDF or acrylics, stuff like that. It's pretty nice. But yeah, we have to think of the neighbors, so we're not using that right now. We also have over here our PCB oven where we can do simple, well, SMD boards. I think one-sided is okay. We have a fancy microscope, which I can't really say anything about it because it's not mine. We have a nice plotter that we can plot sticker foils and shirt foils. So that's pretty nice. And we also got some new toys like this vacuum former. Over there is an embroidery machine. And we have a laminator. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah. Is there anything else that we want to show? Maybe the front a bit? That's okay with the sound? Oh, sorry. That was not. Oh yeah, we have a kitchen here and, well, the toilet. Nice. We have Marta, and we have Marta. And Marta. I don't think there's anything more interesting. But we could show this tree over here. So the story about Exine is Hein is German for a little piece of wood. Woods? What? Grove. Okay, yeah. So yeah, basically the theme here is like we like trees. We just don't want real trees in here, but everything else is fine. And this is lots of PCBs from old computer parts, and also nice touch here. These are the PCB panels where the cardio badges were on. So we actually had people from the cardio badge team. That was the badge for the Chaos Camp. They were here and were soldering all the displays to the boards and put everything together, which was pretty cool to have them here.
So the thing is, will that tree run Crysis?
You can always come over and try. Well, yeah, we have some LEDs going on there, and there's another tree plant going onto the blank wall over there.
Completely missed this part when you just showed it.
Yeah, I missed it too. I sometimes do very quick tours and forget to, I don't know, talk about the important stuff. Right.
I think
So-
it's gonna be cool on Christmas over there.
Oh yeah. I don't think we have a Christmas mode for our LED tree, but that would be nice. So over here is one of the things that I want to use more in this year, because I recently learned how to use the sewing machine. I'm gonna jump into the frame here. We have an overlock machine, which is pretty nice, I've heard, because it technically allows you to do 3 steps at once, or 4 or 5. In sewing stuff together, but that sounds way too complicated right now for me. I just learned how to use a normal machine, and over here is our area to use those machines.
And let's start with this.
Yes, that's also a good point. But over here, this was first the member area where people were just dropping off their boxes. But the whole thing is, well, we call it a tree house. At least it's a house made out of trees. When we first got in here 2 years ago, we were just talking about it, like, hey, it would be nice to have something like that. And I was always asking, like, okay, we should kind of start now and do that. And then I was the person in charge of it because I said it out loud. Yeah, I had some wonderful helpers, and lots of people had opinions on how to set it up. So yeah, we covered that, and then we started building. And this was my idea to use the member storage area also as the way to get up there. And then we made it safe, so nobody falls off. And yeah, because the steps are pretty big when you're going up and down there. Yeah, kind of looked the part.
Like
And
your Tower of Towers there.
oh yeah, that's also a nice decoration. We got some of them just, I think we had a member once that was just dropping off computers, and we checked them out, and then yeah, someone made a rack out of it. Yeah, and in the wonderful days where it was not the pandemic, up there we had a PlayStation, and people were just hanging out up there, and there was a mattress, and yeah, it's a pretty nice place actually. So I hope we can revive that at one point. So close connected to that is the electronics area, and we have soldering stations, we have oscilloscopes, and we have a power supply, a multimeter if you're not used to using the oscilloscope for checking your soldering on a headphone connector like we did recently. Yeah, so we hope that people can really make use of this area, and
Looks fantastic. I really like the lighting. It's really bright and
yeah, that's pretty new. Before that, we only had the RGB lights down there, and it was just a weird blue color. But yeah, I really like the bright light now.
Yeah, you really need the good lights for like the electronic stuff. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Paper tools.
we actually have a member that already built something in this place. He made a mechanical keyboard, and he got the PCBs, and he then did the soldering with the open here, and I think he checked it on the microscope that we have over there for soldering stuff. So yeah, I'm glad to see that people are able to use it, which is pretty nice. Yeah. So we also have co-working spaces that I won't show you because I left it in a mess. But yeah, it's nice to have people here that are, I guess, like-minded and can also work from here. Yeah, and over here we have some electronic bins. Oh, I can hear myself. So yeah, can I? Sorry, I was just confusing myself. We have plenty of resistors, wired resistors and capacitors. So if you need any and you're in Berlin, you can just ask us if we have a certain value, and then you can maybe get it if someone is here. But yeah, we have lots of them, and probably nobody will ever use them.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate. I also have, I mean, one of those
we also
cabinets.
got a Watterod made.
Yeah, you actually use them for repairs.
They were moving their inventory from one place to another. They were just throwing out big packs of various parts and well, Raspberry Pi 1 cases. So we got a box and put something in there as well. So that's pretty nice. Yeah. I think that's about it for the tour, I guess. Oh yeah, the tree. You've shown the tree, right? So we can show the tree again. So this is one of the bigger, older projects of Exine. I think there were 3 to 4 members working on it effectively. There's a server where you can change the animations on there. And I think some parts are connected to the clouds that we installed recently. Up there we have clouds with LED controllers as well. And they should kind of shine similarly to the thing that's shown on the tree. So yeah.
Do you have a thunderstorm?
I thought that would be nice, actually. Is anyone able to check the tree page? What?
Or I can use my phone if you want.
So you're
guest Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you're in the guest Wi-Fi. I think that's not good.
So you have a website for controlling all of the lighting here?
Well, some of it.
Okay.
I don't think I know the actual domain for it. Does anyone know? What's the... Okay. Well...
Yeah, I can't control it if you don't know the domain.
Exactly. I always forget. That's a good lesson to learn. Label everything in a hack space. So if anyone wants to use
QR
it,
code, so if you like just scan that and then you get
yeah. I mean, at least have on the controlling box over here, there should be a link to it. Or all right. Where are we? We are
I
over
think
there.
we don't have audio off.
I think that's because of me.
But we can get the audio back. If you had questions and asked something before, we may have not heard you.
Oh, the microphone wasn't really plugged in.
Well, we heard you.
Yay!
Cool. But we have not heard you, maybe.
Yeah. I started asking questions and whatnot, and
Sorry, there.
then I stopped. That's good. It's
you
good.
can
It's,
repeat now. Now we hear you.
yeah, sure. I can remember all of those, but no, it's not too much. I just all of a sudden I realized that you don't hear me. Then I, just
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's a very impressive space up there, actually.
Thanks.
There are some questions in the chat.
Yeah,
Sure.
Maiko, that's probably true. Yeah, you're from the Netherlands. You're closer to the Berlin hackerspace than I am. I just looked it up. It's like 710 kilometers from my house to the hackerspace. Yeah.
Yeah, Michael won. 669. Nice. So how do you get cooked well at Xheim? That's a state secret. Only by donations. Membership fees? Any public money? Well, so we definitely have the co-working spaces. So I think we have 5 people paying for a place to work on. And then we have membership fees. We have about 90 members, I think. So yes. And then, we got some funding recently, which was really pretty nice. So that's why you saw some machines that you might not see in other hackerspaces.
That's nice. I think if I would have one of the co-working spaces, I would not get any work done. So I would hear somebody work on some project would caught my interest, and I would be off my workplace and looking over there. And
Yeah. Right. It can be tempting. I know that because I have a table here. But on the other hand, people aren't here normally when it's work time. So 9 to 5, people have to work there as well. So you don't get to see that much often. But you definitely stay here longer than you maybe want to, because then there's a meetup or something that you want to see, or we can have some events here. Right now it's a bit difficult, but we're starting to open again, and trying to figure out what's best in the situation. But we're talking about it.
yeah, that's really cool. I'd love to visit the place once I get closer to Berlin.
Yeah, sure. If there's ever, maybe we can also meet at Hannover Maker Fair. That's also reasonably close to more people, I guess.
Is it going to be in person this year?
I don't think so. I think it was already.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Hannover Maker Fair was the only one, and they also called it virtual Hannover Maker Fair, and not make a Berlin version of it. So
Yeah, I think it will be a while until we get one that is in person.
Yeah.
well, I'm hopeful for next year, but that's speculation on pandemic stuff, and I'm not somebody who should say something about that because I have no idea. But yeah,
Let's hope. Let's hope for next year.
I don't think there's going to be a Congress either, right?
They will announce that in September, but I doubt that will happen.
So it's gonna be a Rocket RC3 2 again. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I just noticed that I have the Rocket on. All right. Able to gather money from public sources as well. I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, if you have any payment questions or money stuff, I'm not really into that, into all the informations here. It's just what I collect. And I don't want to talk about that publicly as well. Anyways, anyone else, any questions? Quiz time.
Quiz
Don't
time.
have a quiz.
Oh yeah, Michael, I am in the very south of Germany, actually, at the tip, at the border to Switzerland and Austria, on the
yeah.
Lake of
That is
Constance.
very long.
Oh, then you are closer to me than to Berlin.
Where are you?
Zurich.
In Zurich.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot closer. Actually, that's maybe, I don't know, 1.5 hours drive or something.
An hour by train, probably.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
it's
cool.
a fly over there.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Zurich is one of the airports I choose to go somewhere. It's almost as close as Munich, or yeah,
Yeah, and the train to Munich is pretty bad still.
yeah. From my place, it's okay, but maybe from your place, it's.
I mean, it's
Rotterdam?
still not electrified, so
Yeah.
they have slow trains there.
Yeah.
Okay. We just mainly, almost crossed the 2 hour mark. And I think if no one has any questions, or if I don't have a quiz prepared, so I'm sorry for that. But yeah, it was kind of interesting enough to figure out what we're doing here. So yeah, I hope everyone
Yeah, for
was
sure. I think that was better than a quiz.
So Dave, people were asking about your watch.
Yeah, tell us about your smartwatch.
well. Right, I could talk about that for a minute. So I did the KiCad design and I got to a percentage of 90%. So mid-sentence camera swap. Okay. Which is okay. I'm just, I don't know. So the pink watch, right. I designed the board and I connected stuff, and then I got to a point where I swapped from one computer to the other, and I noticed that I had a library mismatch, and also I kind of used the library for the IC, for the footprint, and for, what's the other word? The schematic design, the icon. And I'm not sure if I can really use that for just producing boards and maybe sell one or two. So I need to redesign this chip and reconnect everything. So that kind of, left me at a point where I was stuck motivation-wise. And also Hackaday was posting about it on a blog. And
Yeah,
the
I think I saw
podcast.
that. Yeah.
And also it was in the, I think in the email newsletter. So yeah, that was kind of too much attention for me. So people were asking me, oh, did you order the board, or what's the difference between a board someone else did for the Casio FW91, I think. So yeah, stuff just got in the way, and I was just not looking into it. And also I got PCBs for this machine, then I soldered it, and yeah, everything was a bit on hold, I guess.
So basically, the watch as it is a calculator, or because it has so many buttons?
Oh yes, it is.
Oh yeah. So and your plans is to add whatever Wi-Fi or what's what's your
Oh, no,
board actually
no.
doing?
So I think my main goal was just to replace basically the internals and reuse the LCD. So there was a challenge, and then also just make the buttons work. And I think just doing that with a controller that I don't know, it's the SAM L22. I've never really worked with SAM in any way before. So I think just getting this done is quite nice for me
Oh yeah, it
to
is.
learn about it. And the whole connectivity part, I'm not really sure what you want to show on a 8-digit display anyway. But I was thinking about adding an infrared communication thing. Well, you can basically get a part that is transmitter and receiver, and then you have like 4 pads that you connect to the SAM-L, and then you have IRDA.
So are there any unused GPIOs that you can?
No. I have the IRDA on there. I have USB on there. I have the 5x4 button switches on the Charlieplex matrix. So that's 5 buttons. Yeah.
And the buzzer.
Hmm?
No sound.
There is sound on there, and there's also a pin for a vibration motor, I think. I think that was the pinout that I decided on doing, because there are 22 pins that I already need for the LCD. And the chip that I'm using has an LCD controller integrated, which is pretty nice. And I got the chip was, somebody on Twitter was like, hey, you can use this chip. And then I clicked on his profile, and then I saw that he's also using that for the replacement of the FW91 clock, the very well-known Casio thing. And he's doing some really great progress with the project. Joey?
So I actually have a question for everyone here on the meeting. Do you already have a plan for Halloween? For a project?
No, I have never done a Halloween project.
No.
No.
Unfortunately, me neither. I have no time for additional projects, to be honest.
Same. I'm booked.
You could maybe
Yeah,
use a costume.
I mean, do you have a project planned for Halloween?
No, as well. I was hoping for some inspiration.
Oh yeah, that's unfortunate.
Adafruit always does some cool stuff, I find. Like, they have always very creative ideas. Or like Halloween costumes and stuff.
I mean, if I can find the time, I'm probably doing something very simple with an ATtiny and 2 LEDs, or maybe even more, where you have the blinking animation. They're constantly on, and then sometimes they just go off for a second. And then you can just throw them like LED throwies somewhere, and then have them on the balcony, and you're getting...
Yeah. I was thinking you can do this PCB micro USB connector from the PCB, right? I did that previously with some of my stuff. And it kind of looks like the teeth of a skull if you made like a tiny skull PCB.
Yeah.
which you insert into the USB socket.
Oh yeah, but USB-A, right? Not USB micro. Or...
No, I actually I did the USB-A one already. I can tell you.
He's wearing pants.
I did that.
Oh, this looks cool.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so now I could make a tiny version of this for USB micro.
Oh, that would be small, but just
I think C would work better, because it's like this long, like it looks like a tiny version of A.
micro C looks the same.
Yeah, basically just this.
Yeah,
We have
what?
them here.
I mean, what's the board thickness? Is it like really
That's
compatible?
0.6.
Oh yeah.
So that works.
That's cool.
You can order them from JLC, whatever they do. All the possible thicknesses. So 0.6 is pretty common.
Yeah, I think we had a member that made 0.6 millimeter USB breakouts for USB-C, USB micro. There should be over there somewhere.
So actually,
Yeah.
in the chat, they're asking me to show one of the boards. So here it is. It looks like this, and then the contacts on the USB on the other side.
I mean, that's one bomb item less.
It goes in
It looks so
like
wrong.
this. Yeah.
That's actually not too. That's cool. I don't know. That's really.
Yeah, it's enough for programming. I wouldn't
Yeah.
use it for something that you have connected all the time.
Yeah,
But just for programming, this is perfect.
it is. I mean, it's like, yeah, if you have a project, you program it once or maybe make an update, and we all know that those projects will never get an update. So it's actually just plugging in once, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's
And
the
you
micros.
know, if you don't need a battery for it because you power it from USB, you can have like a very thin
Yeah,
business card thing.
yeah, yeah. Business card. That's cool.
Very nice.
All right.
Let's wrap this up then. Or does anybody else? No.
It is an endless
No,
story.
I like the Halloween question though, so
Yeah.
that was pretty nice.
But we can put it there to the community. Like you could maybe tag us on Twitter at the MakerCast with your Halloween project ideas. So the deshipu gets some inspiration from you.
And all the people on the next stream have to build them.
Right.
Bit loony. All right. Yeah, we're gonna tell everyone via Twitter who's the next host for the show, because normally it hops from channel to channel.
Right. And if you don't have Twitter, we also have an email list, which is tinyletter.com/makercast. And then you will. We missed that actually this week because I'm the one always sending out the emails. I'm on holiday and I forgot. But usually you would get an email a few days before the next MakerCast to notify you about that.
You.
Maybe.
All right. Cool. Then everyone have a nice evening or morning for Sion, I guess. Yeah. And
Yeah.
thanks for watching.
Was nice. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for running the triple.
That was awesome.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a great
Let's
night,
wait.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye.